Hi everyone, my name is Josephine. Do you ever feel stressed when you're asked to share a short devotional message? You probably don't even know where to begin. This is a video for you. Today I'm going to show you 3 easy basic steps where you can come up with a short devotional message that is solid, biblically sound. So if you have not watched my other videos, which is the verse mapping video, you need to watch that video before watching this video here, because today is a continuation from the verse mapping video. You must do the verse mapping before you'll be able to apply and use the template that I'm going to show you. So the 3 easy steps that we're going to talk about today is ESC. Look at your computer right now, the escape button. Okay, if you remember ESC, your escape button. E means explain. S, summarize. C, challenge. So let's look at the details together. Verse mapping. How can we transfer the verse mapping into a short devotional message? Okay, so I think this is a skill that all of us, we all need this skill, because we will usually share in a small group or a ministry setting for quick devotional purposes. Okay, how we're going to turn this around into a short devotional message. Okay, so remember we talked about the key main idea of this verse is created for a purpose, or whatever you have come up with, created for a purpose. Okay, so this is the key idea. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how can we turn the verse mapping into a 5 to 10 minutes or even maybe 3 to 5 minutes short devotional message. Okay, so this method is called, which I love my husband, he's teaching, he's a preaching teacher at our school. So I adopted this from him. I learned it from him. So I'm using this called ESC. So you see the escape button in front of you in your computer. Okay, so remember this ESC. Explain, summarize, and challenge. Okay, so I'm going to go through each one of these. What does it mean? Okay, so first of all, what you need to do is to find an interesting picture. Okay, you need to first think of a hook. Okay, a hook that will hook your audience to listen to your message, okay, which is your short message, your devotional message, okay? Or you can ask a question or a quick story that are relevant to what you're going to talk about. Okay, so find a picture or ask an interesting question or a quick story, very quick, okay? That is relevant to what you're going to talk about. Okay, so first of all, you need to find that. And what you need to do next is to explain, okay? So you might need to explain the background of the pictures that you've chosen or the object that you've chosen, and explain it why. Okay, why where's that picture taken? And then next thing you need to do is to script, the key verse that you're going to share, the Bible verse that you're going to share. What are some of the key words that you need to explain? Okay, so as you can see, you must do your verse mapping first. Otherwise, you don't know the keywords, okay? It would be very helpful. You have your verse mapping. You need to do your verse mapping first before you get to this stage, okay? So from now on, if you need to share a passage, a few verses, make sure you do the verse mapping first and find out the keywords, what we have just done just now, all the exercise, observation, highlight the keywords, interpretation, and look up the key meanings. And sometimes you might want to tell the context, right? When you're sharing a devotion, what was the context, very briefly, okay? And then after that, you would summarize what are the main message of what you're sharing, okay? What we just talked about is the big idea that we just talked about. And then last but not least, the challenge. So based on the message, what is one relevant challenge for your group? Okay, so this is a rough idea of ESC, okay? So what do you mean? What do I mean by that? I just told you a bunch of things, okay? So how does it look like, okay? So imagine this is the verse mapping thing you have done, okay? Which is the Ephesians 2:10 here. So to make it clear, I do it in a PowerPoint format for you, but you might have it in a written format. But when you do your verse mapping, you can either write it or you can do it in a computer, which is also fine, okay? But for your personal devotion, you might just want to write on a piece of paper because, you don't want to open your computer and then you start looking your emails, checking your Facebook, all those things can have very distracting. So I just use the simplest way. But when you preparing for a short devotion, you can do it this way, okay? So first thing, remember we talk about find a hook, okay? Find a picture, story, or a question. Another thing is explain, okay? Explain the picture and the keywords. Remember these keywords that you have found. So explain 1 or 2 keywords that are relevant to your message. Summarize, okay? Remember we talked about this is the key idea here, summarize. And then last but not least, challenge, okay? So your own personal application reflections. That might be, you might give one challenge to your group. All right, is it clear? Okay, so I'm going to do a quick demonstration for you so you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you're probably thinking like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Next few minutes, I'm going to demonstrate how does it look like in real life. All right, are you ready? Yes. All right, thumbs up. All right, so this picture was taken about 1 year ago. And this is a shelter in Singapore that I visited often. And this is last year when my family and we went for the Christmas time, and we were there to teach them craft. As I mentioned before, I love using crafts as a way to share the good news with them. So I've been going to this group for quite some time. But if you were to ask me 30 years ago, I would never thought of doing what I'm doing. I would never thought of, going to a shelter to share the good news or doing different things, volunteering work with someone. I was a party girl before moving to Canada. I lived a wild life, do crazy things before I moved to Canada. But God graciously saved me after I moved to Canada, after I met my husband in a church, and he became the reason I stayed in the church, okay? And God really changed my life ever since. But after I became a Christian, I actually became a lukewarm Christian for many years. So all I cared about was the earthly things. I was chasing after making lots of money, chasing after shopping, which I love. I'm very obsessed with shopping, and I just love beautiful things. And oftentimes I felt very guilty because of my obsessions. And I often ask God, hey, why am I so obsessed with beautiful things? Like, I really, really, really love beautiful things, and I felt so guilty. And for the longest time, I think, okay, God doesn't want me to love anything beautiful. But a few years ago, God has really challenged me and asked me a question. Hey, why don't you use your interest for my glory? Why don't you use your interest for my glory? And I answered him, what? How? This is the earthly thing that I like. Is so worldly. I love beautiful things. It's so worldly, right? We all think, wow, this is so worldly. But God said, no, turn it around and use it for my glory. So slowly I asked him how I could do that. And slowly he gave me opportunities to use the craft to teach at a seminary, at our school, at another mission agency, and doing different things to make a lot of mistakes and learn along the way. And because of that, God slowly taught me how to use crafts as a way to reach out to others. So when I look at that picture that I've just shown you, I was reminded again of Ephesians 2:10, that we are his masterpiece. He has created all of us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good works that he has planned for us long time ago. When I think about masterpiece, I'm sure all of you think about a beautiful masterpiece that the artist spent so much time and so much love and passion to create that perfect piece of art. And in the same way, God is our masterpiece. He's the creator. Created all of us not randomly, not, just throw things together. He has paid his best attentions and his best love and best care for each one of us. And he has created each one of us with a purpose. So the word create means transform, like all of us in a lifetime, that will continue to be transformed to do the good works that he has given to each one of us. Now, when we think about good works, the original meaning of good works, we think about, only ministry is good work. But in fact, good works means anything we do with our hands, our job, our education, all our experiences, or even like the job that we have, we are being a stay-at-home mom. all of these are part of his good works for each one of us, prepare all of us in advance to do. So we are all created with a purpose. We are all created with a purpose. So as we continue to transform by him, we are to walk on the path that living out that good purpose. Now, let me ask you a question. How about you? What is God trying to transform you or shape you to be his masterpiece? Are there any things that you need to change and transform so that you can live out his good purpose? Maybe God made you a mom. Maybe it's your process of learning to be patient and love and being a loving wife and understanding wife. Or maybe at work or at ministry, you work with very difficult people and very difficult situations. And maybe this is God's way of training you that you could still be a witness to those around you, especially for those who don't believe. So do you feel that sometimes experience God has put in your path as a mistake or as a training, as a transformation for you to be ultimately to be his masterpiece? So today I want you to leave with this message thinking, hey, I am God's masterpiece, created with a purpose. I want you to ask God, what is the purpose that he has placed for me? You are God's masterpiece, created with a purpose. And I pray for each one of us today that we can find out and live out that purpose that God has created for each one of us. As you can see, you can turn this mapping thing into a short devotional message in a very simple way. Okay, so I want all of us to give you homework when you go home today. Find a verse that is really spoke to you personally. Okay, I'm sure all of us have our favorite verses. Okay, trying to do a verse mapping and see if you can turn it around. Do the verse mapping and turn it around and do a devotional. Write a short devotional message so that you can share. Hopefully, if God give you opportunity, you'll be able to share with someone. All right. So I hope